little bit quieter down here.
We have. It's lovely. And you come down to this basement room, and I'm sure a lot of people come into the main hall and recognise that gorgeous hall upstairs. Some people might never venture down to these lower, into the bowels of the building, all beautifully done up now. And we're sitting in the corner of this fantastic function room, set up this lovely old sort of fireplaces in the corner again. We'll ask in a moment to see if they still go. They look like they're real, don't they? They might still go for all I can do. And we're joined by Keith Watterson and also Peter Kelly here. And Keith, Onchan Heritage, you've been meeting here for, well, how long? Decades? Years? Centuries?
No, since just after 1986, in the late 80s. Yep. Friends of Onchan Heritage was formed after the Year of Heritage in 1986. There'd been a committee set up by the commissioners in 1985 to go into the Year of Heritage, and after that had happened, the commissioners were going to disband the committee, but Karen Corkle, a school teacher who was on the committee, said, well, heritage doesn't stop, you know, let's continue on. So to enable members to come along, they formed the Friends of Onchan Heritage. I wasn't involved in those days, though.
But going from strength to strength now?
Yes, we meet every other month, especially throughout the winter. We try and get a couple of outside events in the summer, but in the winter months we go right throughout the winter every other month, and we always try and keep the topic of our speaker or slideshow or whatever to an Onchan related subject. Not always, but we try to, yeah.
And the village does have a real, because we've spoken about this before, Beth, I think we've done a couple of things on Tammy Ginders and a couple of other programmes. It's got such an incredibly rich heritage in many ways for what is a relatively small space.
Yes, it is really, you know, the old Onchan village is a small area. Obviously the village now has expanded a lot with the likes of Ballacurry and Birch Hill, Lakeside Gardens, but we're very fortunate. We always get a good attendance, usually about 40 people to a winter's evening meeting, which is good.
And Peter Kelly is captain of the parish of Onchan and also a trustee of the hall. And just before we came on air, Peter, Howard said, do you remember the first time you walked into this hall? And you've got quite a long memory of it.
I got a long memory. Well, yes, I can recall as a very small child being brought here by my mother, and we had to come down the steps on the outside and in through the back door into this very room. And this very room on a Friday was used by the district nurse as a clinic. And here you would come with your coupons and get your concentrated orange juice and also your cod liver oil. I have to say I preferred the orange juice. Cod liver oil was pretty awful. So that's my earliest memory of coming to the hall. I also came to a Christmas party not long after I'd started school, and the Onchan branch of the British Legion held a Christmas party for the children of those who had served in the war. My father was actually a Japanese prisoner of war, and we had a ticket. And we came, my cousin Margaret came as well, and we had a bit of a problem because we were upstairs in the hall and then downstairs they had a film show, and we went out to go to the toilet, but the man on the door wouldn't let us back in. So I have this terrible memory. And then once I was 8, well actually I was 8 and a half, I joined the Cubs and we were upstairs playing, throwing balls, which broke some of the stained glass, I'm fairly certain, in the doors, of which I've made recompense since. And yeah, it's been a happy time, and it's been a centre for the village for many clubs and societies.
And I was just thinking, I think someone else is having a go upstairs, running around now. It's having a go at the windows as well. I was thinking with you were saying about your memory more recently. I wouldn't mind betting. I think those who've been listening to Manx Radio for a few years will remember Kelly's Eye. You must have been here doing Kelly's Eye at some stage with David Collister.
Yes, we've done Kelly's Eye from here. Can't tell you when. I mean, we did 1,000 programmes. Yeah. It went on for 20 years and 4 months. So yes, it was certainly included at some point. Yeah.
And being such a significant piece of Bailey Scott architecture with your Victorian hat on, if I can put it that way, I mean, it's truly is an important piece of the heritage.
Well, it is, and the Isle of Man Victorian Society, who meet elsewhere purely because of numbers and the hall is not big enough, we have been here a couple of times. We had a Victorian fashion show in the hall. That was with Daphne Corlett. That included underwear. And one of the poor girls had bloomers on with a trapdoor at the back, and as she turned to go back up the stage, Daphne said, "Now open the trapdoor." She wouldn't. I don't blame her.
It
More
gets better and
memories
better,
like,
doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. This is Late Lunch live from Onchan Hall this afternoon. We're going to be talking much more to the people who use this hall and talking again about the funding, which is so vital to keep this piece of heritage alive. But we're also joined by Jeff Jepson. We were going to talk to you in more detail later. But Jeff, you've agreed to play for us.
I have, yes.
And you're eagerly, yeah. You come here quite often.
Well, I actually did a gig here. I was just looking through my events calendar. It was amazingly like 3 years ago. It feels like last week, because my band and I have played in a lot of the little village halls around the island. And we had one here, in like 2016, and it was a beauty.
I realise that just sounded like a really dodgy chat-up line there. Sorry. Jeff, what are you going to sing for us now?
I'm going to sing a song called Here Comes Trouble.
Well, that's quite apt as well. Take it away. You can see the video on the Manx Radio Facebook page.
Trouble in a heartbeat. Here's another siren song to avoid. Better prepare yourself for the storm that's coming ashore. Dry land's going out of fashion. Everywhere a sea of trouble for us. Whether to climb that peak or just dive in deep, I don't know. Nothing ever can be funny again. As long as the clowns are running the show, I'm staying in bed. I'm diving undercover now. I'm hiding in the dark, I won't come out. I'm diving undercover now. I'm hiding though I know I will be found. I know the world will find me out. The world will find me out. Here they come, better find a safe place, 'cause there'll be no one left to stand up for you when they are finished with the poor souls at the front of the queue. I'm diving undercover now. I'm hiding in the dark, I won't come out. I'm diving undercover now. I'm hiding though I know I will be found. I know the world will find me out. The world will find me out. The world will find me out. Here it comes, trouble in a heartbeat. Here's another siren song to avoid. Better prepare yourself for the storm that's coming ashore.
Jeff Jepson, wow, it's incredible. I'm in total awe of people who can just stand in a room no matter where you are and perform like that.
Go
We're going to
for
be
it, yeah.
hearing much more from Jeff a little bit later. This is Late Lunch. We'll be back just after this.